Starting January 1st, drivers in Washington are asking a question about whether they will have to shell out more for a gallon of gas. Well, a new law passed by state lawmakers aimed at curbing carbon emissions takes effect now in less than 2 years.
A lot of viewers have reached out to us about this new policy, and they want to know, does it amount to an additional gas tax that drivers will have to pay on top of every gallon of gas? Let's verify. The policy at the center of this debate is the Climate Commitment Act passed by the democratically led state legislature and signed into law by Governor Inslee last year. It means that starting in January, many companies that emit CO2 gases will be charged a carbon offset fee based on how much CO2 they produce. The more emissions, the higher the fee. Now, to be clear, that's not the same as a gas tax that consumers pay on top of every gallon of gas. It's a fee that companies who produce CO2 emissions pay. And Joel Cresswell with the Washington Department of Ecology says drivers likely won't notice the immediate impact on gas prices.
What should drivers in Washington expect come 2023?
I don't think anybody is going to sit there on January 1st and say, oh, price just went up a bunch. It must be those new carbon regulations Ecology put in place. I really don't think it's going to be noticeable.
But some say the carbon offset fee that companies will have to start paying will be passed down to consumers. And this story by the Washington Policy Center with the headline, State's new tax on CO2 emissions projected to add 46 cents per gallon to the cost of gas, is leading a lot of you to reach out to the KREM to Verify team. Viewer Brandy asks, is Washington putting another 46-cent state tax on each gallon of gas over the existing gas tax?
Can you describe how we came to the figure of 46 cents additionally per gallon?
So the way the system works is that for every metric ton of CO2, gas sellers have to buy a permit. Department of Ecology estimates that permit will cost $58 for every metric ton. That translates into 46 cents a gallon. So yeah, there's a bit of math behind it. But again, these are the Department of Ecology's estimates on how much it will cost to buy permits to emit CO2.
However, others disagree with that math. The Department of Ecology, which is tasked with implementing Washington's new policy, argues that Meyer's analysis is overly simplistic and doesn't account for other market variables.
The trouble with how Mr. Myers approached these calculations in his piece is that, he did do some math that's just not math that's reflective of reality, because in the real world, we know that there are a lot of different market players, right? There's not one gas station in the world. There are a lot of gas stations, and there are a lot of different brands of gasoline and diesel. And so there's competition, and there are different market effects. And so, the price that consumers pay is going to be influenced by all of those factors. I'm highly confident it's not going to be 46 cents per gallon. That would be very different from what we've seen in the other states that have implemented these policies.
For insight, we turn to Colin Murphy, the Deputy Director of the UC Davis Policy Institute for Energy, Environment, and the Economy. He says in the first 5 or 6 years of California's program, which is similar to Washington's, drivers did not see gas prices increase any larger than a cent per gallon.
Come January 1st, 2023, you don't think drivers in Washington will see 46 cents additional per gallon tacked on to what they're currently paying for gas as a result of this new law?
Absolutely not. I think there's no chance of 46 cents in the first year. There's no chance of 46 cents in the 5th year. 10th year, highly unlikely you would get to 46 cents, but impossible to completely rule out.
So we can verify, no, this is not a new gas tax. It's a fee that companies who emit greenhouse gases pay. Now, some argue that will hurt consumers in the long run, but whether that's true and how much it will cost drivers will depend on many factors and is yet to be seen. And do you have something you'd like me to verify? You can send me your questions at verify@krem.com.